Yeah, I've had a few cancellations, people can't make it. But yeah, we were talking, Keith, about that site, the FEPOW
Oh yeah,
database.
I think that
Um,
must have been one of the old sites that's been taken down.
that was only taken down during this last week because
Yeah.
I use it near enough every day,
Oh
and that
grief.
was very, very useful.
Yeah, well, I
Um,
think it was coming up for renewal, which was going to cost quite a bit of money. So that's
well,
why it was
I
taken down.
checked today, and it's still on. Um,
Oh,
but it's still owned by Cofibo, the site, but it isn't live.
okay. Well, what I'll
Um,
do is I'll give them another chase up. As soon as I got your message, Ronnie, I did forward it to the chairman and a couple of other people. So I'll give that a chase up for you.
yeah, that is very, very useful. I do use it
Okay.
a lot. So if you can sort that one out, I mean, if they don't want to put it back up, perhaps I can put it within the roll of honour. But I should think a lot of people used it, Keith.
Right. Okay. I'll have a look for you. Yeah.
That
I'll
that
ask the
that's
questions,
a
mate.
that was a good instant. Yes, was he a POW? Wasn't he a POW?
Right.
And that didn't have a lot of information, but it did have links to some liberation questionnaires. Um,
Yeah. I'm wondering whether it was Tony McQuaid's old site.
yeah, that was no, that was handy. That was very handy because it gave you the date when they were captured. Didn't give you much else. It didn't tell you what unit they were in or anything. That just said what date they were captured and if they are Army or Air Force.
Hmm.
They didn't give a lot of information, but that did help.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
so
Well, I'll ask the question again for you.
if
No
you
problem.
can, that would
Yes.
be
No problem.
handy to have it back up. If they can put it back up, I mean that shouldn't cost a lot. I mean that yeah, it shouldn't
I'll ask
cost
them.
a lot.
Perhaps they can put that into the current site as well.
Yeah, that would be
That would
handy.
be an easier one.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be.
I'll definitely ask
Yeah,
the question for you, mate. No problem.
yeah, yeah. The other one, I have got the password because I got that about 2 years ago,
Oh, that's good. That's okay. You should have the
and
password anyway.
they gave me the password, so I got into the other one we were talking about, and that ain't the one.
No, no,
Um,
it's one. It's the one that you can get into at the moment with the password. That's W0392, and that is I use that quite a bit. But it is a little bit more time consuming than just putting in a name and it coming up.
yeah, yeah. Well, if you can ask about the other
Okay,
one,
I will
because
ask again.
that was very handy.
Right. Okay, mate.
Um, yeah. Apart from that, I don't think there's much happened this end. I've been still doing some research. People have got in touch, and there was one I was going to talk to you about. Yeah, John, you were going to say about your research.
Yes,
Now we've got record on. That'd be handy
yes.
to hear.
Well, morning, Keith. Anyway, it's nice to see you
Hi, John.
again. Um, yes, I got my father's. I had some health problems this year, and felt a bit guilty, so I got all my father's stuff together again, and I found in there he on his questionnaire he talks about four people were shot after an escape.
Oh yeah.
That was in, you're probably aware of that one.
Mm.
And it was when they were in, they were in Chiang Mai, I think. And I had a letter an email from Andrew Snow
Mm.
giving me details. And he also sent me, it looks like an addendum to the questionnaires in which a signalman child gives information on the escape. And my father writes 4 of these men were shot after being recaptured. 28 days later, subconductor Bingham was shot in the arm but not killed. Now, I got this cue here, and it's very, very faint, and the photograph didn't come out very well, but previously I transcribed it. If you want me to, I can read it out now.
Yeah, please.
So he writes, I with 6 others and a Korean soldier tried to escape from Chiang Mai to Kunming in China. We left the camp at 0100 via the gatehouse, which was built in one corner of the camp fence, and a door leading to the outside, which the Nips had omitted to secure. One man did not arrive at the stated time, so I went back for him. Then, after returning to the rendezvous, found the others had already left, so I had to return to the camp. One of the questions then says, how fit were you? And he says, as fit as was possible under the circumstances. So the next question says, give regimental particulars. So he lists them as subconductor T. Bingham from the Royal India Army Ordnance Corps, Sergeant W. Ponton from the RIAOC, Sergeant Solby from the same, Sergeant Bellringer from the Royal Army Service Corps, Sergeant Rennie from the Argylls, and Sergeant Sunman, or it might be Sandman, but it looks like Sunman, from the 11th Heavy AA Royal Artillery. He then says number 2, 3, 4, and 5, which was Ponton, Solby, Bellringer, and Rennie, were shot by the Korean who was with them and killed. Number 1 was shot, that's Bingham, wounded in the arm, and gave himself up to the Japs after 3 days. And number 6 was the man I went back, and he did not leave the camp, so he went back to Sergeant Sunman. The last question, which is says on the page, there must be other information which he didn't send to me. How were you recaptured and what date? He then says information was given by number 1, T. Bingham, and the Jap MPs came to the camp and arrested me on the 13th of December. So read into that what you will about the last part, whether Bingham was forced to disclose who it was or what, I don't know. But that's a bit strange, that last remark. But that was the witness statement, if you like, of signalman Child after the war. So that was an interesting piece of information there.
Yeah.
That escape was mentioned in the railway one by what was the name who wrote that?
Lomax. Eric Lomax.
Lomax. But he didn't have the information that it's got here, so in the book it wasn't the same. But that could be editorial, that couldn't it? Well, that's quite interesting. That the fact that they took a Korean soldier with him, and he was the one that shot him. That was so he was probably forced to do it, I would imagine. Stranger.
The Koreans, we had that thing come on the internet this week about the Koreans, and most of the people said that their father said the Koreans were the worst guards of brutality.
Yes.
My dad said they were the same. He said
Yeah.
he didn't like the Koreans, and he didn't like some of the Sikhs. He said the Sikhs that went over to the Japs, they used to knock them about.
Yes.
Get their own back. I'm trying to find something. I was going to talk to you about it, Keith, but I can't find it. I've lost it. It's been very hectic this week, and I've lost where I was. Of course, my dad went to Saigon from the railway,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had about 3 or 4 this week want to know, and that when I found out they all went to Saigon.
Yeah.
It's very strange, very strange. But when you look at how many went, there was 1,593 British went to Saigon, 200 Australians, and 737 Dutch in February 1945. So there's a hell of a lot, shipped out to Saigon. So I know they were doing an airstrip, but I don't know.
I think that was what they classed as Japan Party 4, but it got no further than Saigon for
No.
very, very obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still can't find the one I was going to talk to you about.
And I just picked up another one, and this guy went to Saigon as well. 5th
Yes.
Norfolks.
Yeah. Well, Dad was 4th Norfolks. No, I can't find it. That was an interesting thing I wanted to talk to you about, but I've lost it. I was telling John I've been so flipping, I've had so much on my plate, we're both getting a bit fed up, with the move and everything.
Oh, no news?
Not really. We're in the process of calling it a day with it, I think. It's just getting too silly. Yes, it's just getting a bit stupid. So I think we're going to try and get out of it. It's just got so stupid.
Well, they're not giving you any moving dates, or not built it yet?
Well, they say it could be the end of February, but they told us before that could be before Christmas. So, but they're just messing us around. So, and you're trying to fit the research in and writing the pages for people, and you've got all that going on as well. Oh yeah, that's one of the things I was going to talk to you about. I've lost a ship, and I can't find it. That wasn't on my lists. I went to Japan 27th to the 6th. If you could have a look, Keith, and see if you can find anything.
27th to the 6th?
6th, 44.
44.
And I've added it to my lists, but that wasn't in my list, and I haven't got a name for it.
Right. So where's Japan? Where did it come from? Do you know?
Well, it was Singapore.
All right.
Yeah. He went up country the 28th of the 10th, 42. And then I take it he was taken back to Singapore, and he left on the 27th to the 6th, 44. And I just haven't got any record of that ship.
All right. Well, I'll see if I've got anything. Yeah.
He went to Osaka, Camp 16. Now, when I've looked that up on Mansell's site, Camp 16 held men from the Singapore Maru. But of course, that was earlier than that.
Yes,
so
it was.
That can't be the one he went on, because he definitely left on the 27th to the 6th. And that all they've got on the Mansell site is the POWs there were on the Singapore Maru, which there must have been another ship somewhere along the line, because he didn't leave till 44, and the Singapore Maru was before that.
Oh, Christ, that was 42, wasn't it?
Yeah, so unless the Singapore Maru went back, but I don't think that's the case. I think some others must have gone there, and I've had about 3 end up at this camp.
Have you got this chap? What do you know what this chap's name is? Oh, that's a shame.
Well, this one's name. Harry Brown, known as Topper.
Brown.
He was born Ormsby, Middlesbrough, and he was Royal Army Medical Corps. So they could have sent some medical POWs there as a small contingent somewhere along the line.
Okay, I'll have a look.
He was in the 13 Field Hygiene section of the 11th Indian Division. So that could have been just a small contingent went on a Japanese ship, but I would like to know if we can find out which ship it was.
Okay, yeah, I'll see what I've got in my records, mate.
Yeah, it's a strange one.
Well, it's like the two ships that went to Saigon. We know the name of one of them, but we don't know the name of the other one.
No,
There were two ships that went. But that's definite because they've got the men that were on each ship, or the British, I should say, at Q. They got a roll of the men that were on each ship.
Yeah. Well, my dad was on there. So if we can find that one out,
give it a try.
That'll be helpful. That's funny how you get them in batches, because I've had about 3 ask about, what happened to their dads, blah, blah, blah. And 3 over this last couple of weeks were at that camp, Osaka 16, which ended up as, is it Nagoya 4B? That was changed to Nagoya 4B. So that, but they all ended up there. So that's very strange when you get them in batches.
Yeah, normally it's a Japan party you get in batches, isn't it? Like, we had a load leave early July, Hofoko Maru being one of the ships, and that was Japan party too. And there was about 3 or 4 ships in that convoy, and they all had, various bits and pieces happen to them, and wonder whether this guy could have been Japan party 1. But we'll have a look. I'll have a look.
Yeah. Japan Party 1, I had a query about that during the week. And, that you've seen the chap, he wrote his dad's, is Australian, and he wrote out his dad's his granddad's web
Oh,
page.
yes. Yeah.
Now I read it and I asked him if I could use it to put things on. And I started to put things on, and he said his dad was on the, his granddad was sunk on the Tamuki.
Tamakoko Maru.
Yeah, he was sunk on that, and of course, he didn't leave Singapore on that.
No, he didn't. He left Taiwan on that.
Well, yeah, because they went from, he was in Java Party 20, Kiska Maru. That was the Kiska Maru. They went to Singapore. Then he left Singapore in the Mayo Maru, and that went to the Philippines, and then from the Philippines the Tama. What is it?
Didn't the Mayo Maru was proceeding? They ran into a storm.
Yeah, that ran into a typhoon.
They ran it aground.
Yeah, they ran into a typhoon that managed to get to Taiwan, but that was so damaged.
That's right.
The POWs were put on
Tamakoko Maru, and that was sunk by the USS Tang.
Yeah, just off Nagasaki.
Yeah.
So he got that bit wrong. Because I've had a lot of inquiries about that, and you tend to do it over the years, finding out what happened to them. And that was definitely, although I haven't got the list of the Java Party 20, he was definitely on the Java Party 20, because in the records it says he was on there. So we got that bit wrong. But interesting though. Something else we've got to talk about. I know, John, you haven't You haven't been on because John's been ill,
No.
Keith.
I gathered that from something he said. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think these video meetings are interesting, but we tend to have lost a lot joining them now.
That's true.
What do? Do we carry on with them? I find them interesting.
Yeah, I think we carry on with. Let's give it another 3 months.
Yeah,
Carry on with it and see how it goes. Because
yeah.
I mean, when you do the invites for the next one, make sure you send one to Barbara James.
Like send one to her.
Yeah, I know one of them. She said she never got an invite, and I said, well, that's unusual.
Oh,
So I said, "No,
they all get one.
Yeah.
She's definitely on the list to get
okay,
one.
mate, that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, she couldn't. I mean, last time she was taking her mum out, and her mum's in hospital in a care home at the moment with I think it's Alzheimer's or dementia.
yeah.
And I think
No,
this weekend they're away with family.
I've got the full list, and they're everyone who are members, and I send it to everyone, so everyone does get a invite.
Because we've lost Martin, haven't we?
Yeah, Martin didn't come today, and yet I got a thing saying he was being on today. Yeah, he did sent me one yesterday saying he would be here today. Ray's, of course, he's in Thailand. Yeah, so Ray isn't on. So I think really, and Kevin hasn't been on for a little while. Kevin hasn't been on, has he?
No.
I think we want to build that up a bit, so we get a few more joining the meetings.
Yeah.
That's nice when you get a lot of feedback.
I think they're good, but obviously you've got to organise them, haven't you? That's the thing. And if you're organising stuff and people don't turn up, it's a little bit disappointing. I know how you feel.
That is, I mean, I was ill just before Christmas, and I did join the meeting, but I said, well, I can't stay on because I didn't feel very well. So there's only 2 on that day. I think it was Ray and Martin were on that day, and so I left them talking. But then the last time we only had 3 of us, didn't we, Keith?
Yep.
Which is okay. We get through a lot of stuff, and it's interesting.
Yes, it is.
That's interesting, but that would be. I mean, sometimes we've had 10 in the past.
Yeah.
That's got down a bit. The FEPOW family charity one I've put on Facebook, you can have video meetings on that. So that might be worthwhile having a trial on that to see if we can get more interested. Because I joined most of the people into that. So you can start off video meetings on it. I haven't tried it, so I don't know how good it is. But you see, this cost us 130 for the year, which isn't too bad. I mean, it isn't too bad, but if there's only 2 or 3 of us on, or 4, is it? Could we use the Facebook one?
Yeah.
That might be worthwhile having a trial on that to see if that does.
Yeah, can we give it a try, can't we?
Yeah, to see if that does work. Because if it does, that might save us this expense.
Okay.
Yeah. Have anything interesting happened to you, Keith?
I was just I got a pile of inquiries from Meg because it's this art exhibition that's coming up.
Yeah.
I'm going from here when we finish this meeting to the Arboretum to meet the son of a chap that designed the chapel at Tanjong Priok.
Oh.
So we've got some drawings from him, which I need to talk to him about. Just before Christmas, no, it was just after Christmas, I was there and I listened to one guy chatting to his children about his granddad. And I gave him my card, hoping I'd hear from him again, but I haven't. And he was the grandson of Lieutenant Commander Upton.
Yeah.
So, it's please, would you get, if you want to know anything else, please get in touch. We do what we can to help. He said, "Yeah, I'll have no." It's his. Yeah, he said, "I'll have a word with my father," and nothing. So, but I'm getting
Yeah.
used to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one during the
Okay.
week, and she's gathered menus from the camps. I don't know if you've heard of this one, Keith. She's gathered and she's going to put them in a book. And she's seen some of the menus I had on the website and said, could I use them? So I said yes. And she's gone on the ITV and she might be cooking a menu from the book.
Ah,
Yeah, from the camps. She said, would I like to join her? Well, you know, it's not my thing. That's not my thing to do
no, I
things
know
like
it's
that.
not.
So no, I said no, but she can use the menus in the book if she just mentions where
Yeah,
they come from.
Mm.
So that might be on ITV. She said they're trying to get it organised. That'd be interesting. I mean, to see someone
yeah.
cooking the menu from the book.
I wonder if
And
they have maggots in the rice.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they might be tasty. They said the POWs said they bought them, that gave them minerals.
Yeah,
Didn't
it's
they?
the only source of protein in the rice
Yeah.
was the
Yeah.
maggots. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh dear.
It's
And
going to be
and the
difficult
other
to make
one.
it's difficult to
Sorry.
make an hour program about a rice, isn't it?
Oh well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Dad, when he went, because he was in the June parties, the 42 June parties, so he was up there right at the beginning,
Mm.
and he worked in the Japanese bakery with another man from Yarmouth who had a pea stall on the market in Yarmouth. He's dead now, but he was loved going and listening to him because he can half tell a yarn. Really, really good yarns he was, and he played the guitar. So he used to sit in his stall playing his guitar, singing. Anyway, Dad got in the bakery with him, and they used to make manju cakes. They were called manju cakes. They called them manju cakes. And the Japanese liked them so much, they used to make them for the Japs. And
Oh.
they're mainly rice. But Dad said when him and his mate came back to Yarmouth, they were going to open up a stall on the market selling manju cakes. But that never came back. Dad went to work in Eastern Electric, and there's the other one stayed on the market. When I was an apprentice, I used to go onto the market and have a yarn with him, and his mushy peas were absolutely fantastic. Mushy peas with mint sauce.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, they really were nice. Couldn't afford much, so they were just up my street. They were. Apprentice wage of £2.7 and 6 was not going to last very
No,
long.
it wasn't, was it? Good.
No, but no, Dad, Dad had another mate down the road from our shop, and he used to call in the shop as well. And he honestly, he could. He wrote Helen 5.
Jack Simon.
Yeah, Jack Simon. Lovely old boy. And Dad was in the shop. I don't know if I told you the story. Dad was in the shop because when Mum died, he had Alzheimer's, so I used to have him in the shop with us. So we used to sit in the shop, and Jack Simon came in. They were both fourth Norfolks, and they both went to Colchester to join up on the same train. There was 5 of them, and he hadn't seen Dad since the war. And Dad was then 79, 80, and he actually got the newspapers to come and take a picture of him because Jock played for Scotland in the camps football, and Dad played for England. So they had a bit of rivalry because Jock came to Yarmouth from Scotland as what they call them, making the barrels for the fish, cooper.
Cooper.
Yeah, he was a cooper, and he came to Yarmouth as a cooper making the barrels for the fish, and he he was great to listen to. I mean, he just talked for hours on the camps, and he got sunk twice. He was on the ship to Manila that got sunk, and then they left Manila on another one to go to Taiwan, Japan, and he got sunk again. So he got sunk twice on the way there and leaving there. So, but he used to tell me stories. Oh dear, some you don't know whether to believe or not because they were very far fetched. He said he was he saw a piece of wood to get onto, in the water, and he climbed onto it, and a Japanese tried to get on, and he kicked him off. I don't know if that's true or not.
No, it wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me.
Oh dear, but no.
No, the
Anyway,
other stuff I've been doing is for the Canadians,
oh yeah, I've had
sending them the
those.
liberation questionnaires and stuff like
Yeah,
that. And
Yeah.
I said to her, have you got the POW cards? No. Right. She said, it's sad. You go and look at the old army records, and she said they're covered in mildew.
yeah.
And it's very, very sad. But yeah, I'm just finding what I can for them and sending it out to them.
Are they the ones who joined the FEPOW
Yes.
family? Yeah,
Hong
because
Kong.
she's been giving me quite a few to do as well, which I've been adding in the Roll of Honour.
Ah, right.
know.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting because you can get. We talked about this last time. You can get into their site and you can get loads and loads of information off
Yeah.
their site
Yeah.
because they're mostly Hong Kong, weren't they?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So you get into the Hong Kong site and there's loads on there. You can get all. And Tony Bannum's been helping them. So he's been putting when the ships left Hong Kong to go to Japan.
7.5 pages.
Yeah.
I don't mind because it gives me something to do at Kew, and I enjoy going to Kew. Didn't go yesterday because of the weather, although we had a light dusting of snow, and then it was beautiful sunshine all day. But
Yeah.
we escaped, touch wood, we escaped the snow. We normally
Yeah,
always
well,
get snow. But
We only
were
got
lucky.
snow. We only got snow at the beginning of the week,
Mm.
and since then we haven't had any. It was very cold,
Oh, yeah.
very cold, but we haven't had any since.
No, we
Actually,
had it
today
forecast.
it was out today.
Yeah, we had it forecast, and it just didn't arrive. And then you switch the telly on and look at Devon and Wales and places like that. Oh, good Lord, they've got obviously what we didn't get.
America. Well,
And
We had it fairly bad, but where we are, it's not as bad as the other parts of Wales. It's we were fairly lucky, but it's still very cold. It's not the sun is out here now, but it's not taking the snow away. It's not.
No.
are you near Bernard?
It's rain tomorrow, I think.
Oh,
Are you
need the
near
rain now.
Bernard? Do you live near Bernard?
No, I think he's more. I'm in Newport, South Wales.
all right.
Yeah.
Gwent. I think
Yeah.
he's either further west or north, isn't he? I'm not sure where he lives, Bernard.
I don't remember where he lived now, but I haven't seen Bernard for a long
No,
time.
that's a point.
Yeah, yeah. So
No,
I'll have to get in touch with him. I mean, Louise is quite friendly with Bernard, so she does get in touch quite a bit. I'll ask her if he's okay. I know he lost his dog, and that knocked him back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It would do.
Yeah, he lost his dog, and his boy hasn't been very well. So it's yeah. But no, I'll ask Louise how he is, because I know he was having trouble getting on. He said that was us, but I think he was having trouble with his computer. It's the same as Australia. Lady in Australia. Oh, I can't think of her name. He wrote the article. That was a really good story. It's really. Anyway, she was having trouble getting in.
Diane Cowling?
That's it, Diane. That's it, Diane. She was having trouble getting in, so she was trying to sort out her connection that end. So hopefully she'll get in soon. But aye, I haven't got much more to say. I don't want to talk about the house.
No,
I'm fed up with
maybe
that. I'm
appreciate
fed
that.
up with it. I'm fed up with it.
my father went up the line on. I didn't know how how he uh, got up the line over to Chiang Mai, and Andrew Snow sent me some stuff ages ago, and he says that Dad was in D Force
Yeah,
and went up on train number 6 in March,
right.
and he says that he was working in the maintenance shops with Captain Rennick in Kanburi
Yeah,
before he was moved to Chiang Mai under the command of Sub Conductor Wild. That's not the same Wild that was
mm,
on the other. He was a signalman. So I think, although Dad bore I remember the scars on his back and on his neck. So where he bore the marks, he might not have actually done a huge amount of work actually building on the railway, but he was obviously there fixing and doing
I
everything
think
else.
Chiang Mai was a truck depot
Yes, yes.
for
So
repairing trucks for the Japanese, as
yes,
only POWs can repair trucks.
yes, yes. I remember you. I can remember you telling me that. And so on his queue as well. First of all, he went to Thompson Road.
All right, yeah.
He was on the Empress of Asia and got over the side and ended up in Thompson Road. And he says there that the question is sabotage. What did you do? He says in the car park at Thompson Road, damage and sabotage to lorries and car engines, also piercing of petrol drums with a pickaxe. And so it was funny that then later on he's probably up
He
in Chiang
repaired
Mai
it all.
repairing them. I hope he was using the same pickaxe,
Yeah, yeah,
which he probably
yeah,
no, it probably was.
yeah. Some of the
Yeah,
stories on sabotage are quite funny. Some of them,
Oh
aren't they?
yeah.
One,
yeah,
one, one of them I read. They were putting uh, the Beatles in the bamboo canes to destroy the huts. I mean, that's
right.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous. Some of the things they came up with, oh dear. But no,
Any little way you can get your own back, isn't it?
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah. But yeah, people think that because they went up on the railway, they all worked on the railway, but that
yeah.
wasn't the case,
No,
was it?
No,
no.
Because
no.
I mean, Dad was in the bakery. He did eventually go up country, and he, had to put the men on the collar on the fires, on the
Yeah,
pyres. He that's one of the things he used to have bad nightmares about,
I'm not
yeah,
surprised.
yeah,
really
yeah,
bad nightmares. So he said they used to sit up, and he said that he was convinced they weren't dead because they sat up, because we know now that when the
yeah.
muscles get heated, they contract and they
Yeah.
will sit up. But
Mm,
he until he died, actually, he thought they weren't dead. He said they
right.
were putting men on the fire that weren't dead.
Mm.
And they were most of the nightmares he had. And I tell you, when he came to live with us, he died when he was 82. But when he came to live with us, about 79ish, he was still having really bad nightmares. And it took me back to when I was
Mm.
a child and listening to him screaming in the night and walking the floor. He used to what I used to say, he walked the floor. You could hear him walking up and down, I
Yeah, so
suppose
did
to
my
get
dad
over
towards
it.
the end of his. My dad did towards the end of his life. Evidently, they didn't tell my mother, but when he was in St George's Hospital, he used to walk the wards at night.
Yeah,
Nobody thought about telling mum. But
no, no,
Yeah,
that was a hell of a thing to get over, though, wasn't it?
oh,
I
God,
mean,
yeah.
that one that Ray was telling us about, how that man who lost all his family, he was a
Oh, that's
POW
right.
and lost all his family, Germans,
Yeah.
in the German camps, because they were Jewish. 5 brothers and sisters in one day.
Yeah.
That's just
I mean, I
unbelievable.
watched a program that was on last week called The Last Survivors, and that's the Holocaust. Pretty horrendous.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recorded that. I haven't watched it yet.
How you can live without them for the rest of your life, you know,
That's it.
that's just unbelievable. And I think, didn't Ray say he lived till he was in his 70s or 80s?
I think so. Yeah.
So that was, you know, I mean, he had to live with that. That's horrible. I mean, Dad said that he was on the Bren gun, and before they left Liverpool, he was assigned to Div HQ as their Bren gunner. So he went to Div HQ, and the one who took over the Bren gun for his company in the 4th Norfolks was his cousin, and he got killed on the Bren gun when they landed. And again, Dad blames himself because he said, I left him on the Bren gun, he got killed. But of course, it's just one of those things, isn't it?
It's the old saying, isn't it? When your number is up, it's up.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing you can do to control it.
There for the grace of God.
Yes, basically.
Yeah. Just at the wrong time.
Yeah, wrong place, wrong time.
Place, the wrong time. That's the same as when you look at the ships. You know, when they left the ships that got sunk, it was just one of those things, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He could have been on a different ship. He could have, you know, it's just. Of course, Dad said when, you know, they left for Saigon February 45, and he said the main reason they went to Saigon was because the ships were being sunk on the way to Japan.
Yeah.
And so they sent them to Saigon. It just one of those things. You just leave on the wrong ship, and that was it. And the same as you say, you know, the bullet who was it intended for?
Yeah.
You know, I did say to Dad, did you kill any Japanese? And he said, I pointed my gun and fired it. I don't want to know. Yeah. And that was it. He didn't want to know. But yeah, come on, any more information? I tell you, honestly, I am really sick to death with houses and.
Yeah, I bet you are. I bet you are.
I'm really fed up with it. But I try and get away from it by getting on the internet and writing some more pages, but I still haven't got down to the projects I want to do.
Yeah, I've got loads.
All I'm doing at the moment is writing individuals that have asked, and I'm putting them on the internet. So I'm only doing one at a time.
Well, I've got to update the database for the FEPOW hut, because when FEPOW compiled it, they didn't put on the men with in the volunteer forces because they had Chinese or Malayan against their name. So I'm going through doing that. We've got to have a new database done because the old one can't be updated. And then there's errors that are wrong. So I've just got the whole lot to do. So it's a case of sitting down and doing it. But it's finding the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's.
I keep thinking I've got about 6 big projects that I started and I haven't finished, and because you get delayed by other people asking you different things, so you look them up and put one on here and one on there, but the big ones I'm not getting down to, and that annoys me because I wanted to do. I started doing, my hometown, and I've done all of East Anglia, by finding the Japanese index cards, by looking up Yarmouth and whatever, Norfolk, and I've done Suffolk, Norfolk, Essex, but the main one was Yarmouth. Because that's my hometown, I wanted to do Yarmouth. And I'm halfway through it, and I just haven't had the chances. This was left about 3 years ago, and I still haven't had the chance to get back to it. You know, because that's your hometown, and you want to do it. You know, but you didn't. I can't get back to it. But
Yeah, it's interesting because the number of times I come across an address of a FEPOW who survived, it was in Wimbledon, Southwest 19. That's where I lived as a kid. So I'm wondering, did Dad ever meet up with anybody? He never ever said. Just no way of knowing.
before Dad, no, I'm not saying Dad was lucky, but the fourth Norfolks were mainly from Great Yarmouth area. Where the fifth Norfolks could be spread throughout Norfolk and from outside Norfolk.
Yeah.
So they brought people in the fifth and sixth Norfolks. But Dad was lucky in that the fourth Norfolks were mainly from the Great Yarmouth area. So it's quite, when you look up the Japanese index cards and look up Yarmouth, most of them are fourth Norfolks. So that's quite easy to do, to be honest. So yeah, what I did is I downloaded the index cards and just got all the information from there, which is it's quite.
The other way would be to photograph the fourth Norfolk's nominal roll.
Yeah. That doesn't give you all the information, though, does it?
Depends. Most of it's normally there. I mean, some of the regiments it's very, very sketchy. Which is a little bit of a surprise. But I think I can have a look.
Yeah. Well, of course, Knights was the Lieutenant Colonel.
Yeah.
Yeah, Knights.
Commander Work Group 4.
Yeah, and I that's one thing that always hits me with John Coast. Because he changed the names, he called him Lieutenant Colonel Day. that's ridiculous, isn't it? But that was, I think he was right, because the book was published 1946, and he didn't want the ones who got back to keep being reminded about it, so he used different names, didn't he?
Yeah.
But that's still a brilliant book.
Oh yeah.
One I'd always recommend. That's the Dad did read quite a few of mine. Well, he started reading them, and he didn't want to read them, but he read that one all the way through, and he said that was the nearest he could say to what happened to him. I suppose
it's acknowledged as being the best book on the railway, isn't it?
Yeah, that's one that really rings true, I suppose. Yeah.
Some of the problems I had when I was looking was because Dad was in the RAOC, it's as opposed to a regiment, if you like. He could be attached anywhere on, and that's the sort of problem that I found. I had a letter from he was a driver for a REME officer. And in a letter he sent, he refers to Captain Williams, who was captured. And I tried to put in Captain Williams, as a common Welsh name and a common name anywhere, and nothing comes up. And you can't find that sort of information really. So that's a bit frustrating.
Well, sometimes, I mean, the only way or a way, not to say the only way, a way to do it. If you've got a regiment like the RAOC, is that Malaya Command or 18th Division? That's your start.
18th
Division.
I'm assuming it's 18th Division, yes, because he was in Changi.
Yeah, well, so the guys from Malaya Command have been in Changi, but it's a case of just having a look at the regimental nominal rolls and seeing where he was.
Right.
You didn't know his first name?
No, Captain Williams is all
just
right
Captain
in the letter.
Williams.
I haven't got that up with me now. I haven't got that upstairs.
And is REME, did you say?
I don't know. His officer was Outwin. He escaped. from Singapore. He went over the side on the Empress of Asia, but he escaped. He got away and got back to Ceylon, I suppose, in the end. And he joined up with the Royal Indian then, um, and came back to Changi at the end of the war to mop up, if you like. It was his words, and he tried to find Dad and Captain Williams.
That's,
So,
that just reminded me, John. That's what I want to talk to you about. That's the party that left the island off Singapore. Sagusa, something like that.
Oh, was this the one we were
That
doing?
was
The Royal
Lieutenant Jones. Lieutenant Jones took a
Royal
party,
Artillery, yeah.
escape party.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what I've been trying to get to grips with, because they left, and I managed to find there was, I think I've got about 11 of them now who left in that party. I don't know what ship it was on, what boat it was on, where they ended up. But according to the what I found, let me just try and find it. He
Ended up on Bintang Island, didn't he?
We don't know if it's Batang with a G or Batan. But the ones on Batan, Martin says, 45 of them, British, were killed by the Japanese. And they were mainly ones that stopped on the island. So I don't know if that's this Lieutenant Jones's party or they did make it to Sumatra. Because some of that party actually were captured at Sumatra. And two of them did make it home. So it'd be interesting to know what
one of them is one of them that's listed was from Ladang Battery. Well, there was a separate escape party from Ladang Battery.
Yeah.
So there were three parties. Jones's party included Lieutenant Bateman, who was mentioned as dying on that particular island. In actual fact, Colonel Heath, who was in charge of the Ninth Coast, did write a list of the men in each escape party.
Have you got that list?
I've got it somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, if you can find it for me, that'd be handy. I'd like to know what actually happened to them. I mean, these was I can't remember the name of the chap now.
Michael Pether was somebody who told us about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was Michael Pether.
And John Redpath, wasn't it?
That's right, Redpath. I've got it. Redpath. Yeah, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 that were in his party. Definitely named as being in his party in Q files. So, but only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 died and the Downers dying on the 19th of the 2nd, 42.
Right. Yeah.
The rest, one ended up in Saigon. We get to Saigon again. So he was on the Burma Railway and then went with what we were saying. He ended up in Saigon. Another one was on the Burma Railway. Ladang Party. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, it's another gun battery, another island.
Yeah. So some of these who are supposed to have been in his party have got written next to them Ladang Party.
Yeah, that was a separate escape party.
Yeah, so that might be that they've muddled the two up.
Could be.
Yeah.
All I can do is have a look at the list that Heath's done and cross-reference it with the regimental nominal rolls.
Yeah, they left, I can't pronounce it, Sajayat,
Yeah,
Sujet?
something like that. Yes, another one.
Yeah, Sujet by boot under Lieutenant Jones, and I can't find Lieutenant Jones because there's so many Joneses. I mean, I don't know. I take it
I've got his
he's
initials. Yeah.
Ninth Coast Regiment.
Yes, he is.
Have you got his initial?
Yeah, I can find it
Can
for
you
you.
let me have that as well,
Yeah.
please? And then I can try and find out if he did actually die,
Yeah.
or
Okay.
did he get through it? Because I can't find him. But the rest I've gone through, and I've got when they died, according to the Commonwealth War Graves, and most of them are down as dying on the 19th of the 2nd. So something happened on the 19th of the 2nd, or thereabouts, because you know what the Commonwealth War Graves are like. They will put a certain date if they don't know when they died. So that could be they didn't actually make it to Bataan Island, and they actually died there, because some of them were from the one begin with B. What is it called? The island off Singapore, where Avril's dad was.
Black Gang Matty.
Yeah, some of them came from there, because one of them, who the priest, Michael Pether, is it?
Yeah. He sent you the priest affidavit.
He said the priest said that one of them did actually say he came from there, and he was actually shot, weren't he?
Yeah, because Michael Pether is looking for a relative who was on Black Gang Matty and who escaped. He was with the Federation Malay States Volunteers, I think. He escaped, and that's the last I heard of him.
Yeah, but he said someone were taken down to the beach and shot.
Yeah.
Another one he saw beheaded.
Yeah.
So it looks as though I think he said there's 45 British, and 10 Australians. I think he said there's 45 British, 10 Australians have known to have died on that island. Most of them, well, I should take it.
Which means if it's Black Gang Matty, I'm going to have to look at the 7th Coast. Because Black Gang Matty was the 7th Coast.
Yeah.
Oh well, keep me busy for another couple of weeks.
That would be interesting, because it would be nice to know. Well, not nice to know, but that put a full stop at the end to know.
Yeah, you're closing the door basically. Yeah,
that's it. To know where they were when they died.
Okay.
But it's peculiar, because on the Q file it does say Bantang, with a G on the end.
That's
not Bataan.
Mm.
So there is a Batang in Sumatra, isn't there? So is that where they
certainly on the way to? Yes.
Yeah, because they are supposed to have left on the 14th of February. But I think that would have taken longer to go up to Batang, which is North Sumatra. So I think really that's barking up the wrong tree, thinking that was Batang. Because that would have taken them a long time to get up there, and they would have had to have a good boot.
In this letter I've got, this Major Outwin, as he was, I'm not sure what he was when he was there. He went over the side and he says, I've got a 4-page letter, and I'll send this. He sent this letter to his mother from Ceylon, and it's dated the 12th of March 1942, and it's a transcript from his son. And in it, he apologises for his grammar as well to his mother in the letter. But he said, eventually we arrive on a Chinese junk moored in the centre of the harbour. The Chinese were offered money to take us to Sumatra, and as things did not seem to be going too well, 2 officers and I took the small native boat, which is normally towed astern. Sitting in the bottom of the boat and using 2 paddles, we paddled about 7.5 miles to St. John's Island. And there we slept on the beach without a drop of water or scrap of food, heading for safety. He doesn't mention officers' names and what have you, but he goes on along here. He said later on he met a Captain Lyon, but that was on another island, I think. So I'll send you this. I'll send this, and you can use this. I think given permission by his son to do with it what we will. So we can publish this But
I
it's
think
very, 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 very interesting leather.
St
Yeah.
John's Island, I think, was a leper colony off of Blackgang Matty.
Was it?
Ah, because I read during the week because I'm trying to find out what happened there, and one party landed on that island and they were all deformed,
That's right.
and they were told to leave by the priest on the island because that was a leper colony.
Yeah,
So they landed on the island and were told to leave quickly because but as they said that the population were deformed, so that was
yeah,
leprosy.
yep,
Oh dear.
yeah.
But that we don't really know a lot about the escapees, do we? We know about the
No,
bigger ships, but not the small ones.
yeah.
I had
You know more of the ship sunk rather than you did of the ship got through,
yeah.
Yeah.
which is terrible.
About 3 years ago, I can't remember his name now because I was trying to find it, and they ended up South Sumatra, and they were only 3 of them in a rowing boat, and they got to South Sumatra in a rowing boat. Anyway, he said one died on the way, and then he landed, and he got captured by the Japanese. But all that way, just three in a boat. And he said they didn't have much to eat.
I'm not
So,
surprised.
yeah. Yeah,
I think he
that's-
eventually got onto the or HMAS Hobart, and
Yeah.
also he mentions the Danae, Danae, Danae.
Yeah, both cruisers.
Yeah, this is such an
One
interesting.
was HMS. The one beginning with D was HMS, and the
Yeah,
Hobart
the
was Australian.
Yes, yes, HMAS. Yeah.
Yep.
I'll send you that later on.
yeah, if you
Very,
can, yeah, that'd be
an
interesting.
interesting read. Really
Yeah,
is an interesting read.
very, yeah. Yeah, that's just a pity. I suppose we don't hear about them because a lot of them on the small boats died in any rate. So
Yeah.
you don't have any follow up to them, do you? So you don't get anything where they went, what
Yeah.
happened to them. But you do tend to hear about the bigger boats.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, the bigger boats that were sunk or whatever. But that's interesting. And I did get Singapore's Dunkirk.
Yep.
Have you read it? I read some of it, but it's again the big boats.
Yeah. I mean, there's
It's
another
not-
one by a guy called Kennedy, When Singapore Fell, and that does tackle some of the smaller boats, but normally only the ones that got through.
Yeah,
That's the
Yeah.
problem. You know.
yeah. I mean, if they were sunk, if they were sunk or if they ended up somewhere and they got shot, or you just don't know what happened to them, do you?
No.
And so I suppose, that's another thing. I mean, I got one who asked what happened, and they weren't even listed in the Commonwealth War Graves.
No.
Yeah, they weren't even listed there. So I don't know if he did survive or whatever. But they tended to think he didn't survive. But I couldn't find him. And I looked through. Most of these are on the Singapore Memorial. So directly you see a memorial, there's no known grave because the same thing as in Burma, isn't it? You ask by people, what happened to so and so. And I got another one who asked what happened, and he was in the 600 Gunners Party. And they said, well, there must be a list somewhere of when they died. I mean, you try and explain to them.
No. Yeah.
There was no records because everyone died. So
Yeah. And the
there's
Japanese
no
weren't going to keep
records of what
records.
happened. No, they weren't. No. But atrocities, the same thing with that island, the Patan Island.
Mm.
The Japanese, as Michael Pether said, didn't cover it up. And they normally cover up their atrocities.
Mm.
But they didn't cover that one up.
No.
So really, they should have got rid of the priest. Because the priest, if they were going to cover it up.
It was by sheer luck that Vivian Bullwinkle survived.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
but then you get to feedback from 600 Gunners Party and the Chinese who were on the island, Belaley, they actually said they were Australians. So they thought they were Australians on the island and not British, but we know they were British.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't really go by, those who did survive, because you don't know if they've got it wrong or what.
Yeah, well, it's one I was doing for Cess Lowry. And this guy was in the 3rd HAA. And his name was on the Gunner 600 list, but he was taken off.
Yeah.
But he never left Changi.
Yeah, because I said to you, I found 7, and I've got about 3 or 4 letters from men that were supposed to have died at Belaley who wrote to whoever was doing the records, we'll say Q. They wrote to them and said that, explaining that they were taken off the boat because there wasn't enough space. So they were taken off the boat. How lucky can you get?
Yeah.
I mean, being taken off a boat, the 600 Gunners Party. So we know there wasn't 600 gunners on there.
No, I think the roll at Q only lists 572.
Yeah, well, I've got a bit more than. Let's find it. Site is getting bigger and bigger, and I find it all. Yeah, I've got Bill Dunn's letter, Signal Pike's letter, and these are letters saying that they are named as being on the Belaley, but they weren't on it. Let me just history and stuff. Yeah, I've got 572.
Yeah.
572. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8 that were named on the list that didn't actually go. They didn't go to Belaley. One ended up Thailand, taken off hospital with dysentery.
Yeah.
He was taken off the ship with dysentery. Taken off because of fever. Too many, so he was taken off the list. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Just by chance, they didn't go.
Yeah.
That was chance, wasn't it? One liberated Thailand, another one liberated Tank 4 Thailand. So lists aren't always.
No.
But Dad said, getting to lists, Dad said when they were at Rangoon waiting to come home, because your dad was on the Chitral, they had to go and look at the notice board to see if they were on the list for the next boat home. And he said it was so disappointing because they were supposed to be on a list when they weren't on the list. And so they had to wait for their name to come up. And fancy being, you're free, you're in Rangoon, you want to get home, but your name isn't on the list. But your dad must have gone through the same thing,
Yeah,
waiting for that list to come
I would
up.
have thought so.
Yeah.
I think.
Anyway, that's been good. I'm sorry there's only 3 of us, but I think we've had a good chat.
Yep.
Very enjoyable.
Let's have that thing though, John,
Yeah, I'll send that over
please,
this afternoon now.
so I can have a good read.
Yes,
Be
it is a good read. Just one final question. Where will I find the regimental nominal roll for the RAOC?
That would be at Q.
Oh,
Yeah.
Q, is it?
Yep.
Is that accessible online?
No, it isn't.
Right.
Not at the moment, it's not. But if you need something, just drop us a line and I'll have a look for you.
Okay, thanks.
I tend to go down there once a week if I can.
You just want the full list, do you?
Oh, I was only. I'll try and find these names in the letter for the couple of names that were in the letter written to my father that he said all about. The fellows here told me about Captain Williams' bravery, and I feel very proud to think he was once my commanding officer. So it's Captain Williams. Now, Outwin was in the Remy, and my father was a RAOC driving for him. So it's Captain Williams, I'm assuming, was a Remy officer.
Okay, we'll have a look.
Lovely.
Yeah, on the Find My Past, I can't see any lists there, so you'd have to look at.
Yeah.
You'll have to have a look at.
Yeah,
The
I'll
other
have a
one.
dig.
The other name
I'll
was
have a dig.
Corporal Smith.
Oh, no.
But, yeah. Good luck with that one.
Yeah, that's going to be awkward.
Yeah. And I don't know what
See,
he's in, whether again Remy or IOC. So
This is where that database that they've taken off comes in handy,
Yeah.
because if you look up Williams, that gives you the list of all the Williamses,
yeah,
and then you can look down for a captain,
yeah,
and it does help a hell of a lot,
yes.
Keith. So try and get that back
Yeah,
on.
I'll have a word with them. See if we can put that search engine onto the existing database.
Yeah,
On
that
the
would be
new one,
handy.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have a word.
Why they took it off, I just don't know, because that was handy. That disappeared this last week.
Right.
So somebody's taken it off this last week.
Okay, I'll have a word with them.
I checked in domain names and it's still out to FEPOW.
Right.
So you've still got the domain. So they haven't given up the domain. Anyway, I've enjoyed it.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
yeah, and I had to hold myself back. The Welsh game was brilliant. Did you watch it, John?
oh yes.
The second half was unbelievable.
I don't. Yeah, he must have had a rocket in the second at half time.
They really did play well, particularly the one who scored the 2 tries.
Yes, George North.
What a physique he's got.
Yeah.
Jeez. He looked like my Uncle Orby. My Uncle Orby had a physique like that. But England did well.
Oh, he did well.
The Scots did as well. The Scots did well.
Yeah,
Anyway, we'll stop record now. Stop.